This week I'm going to be hiking Section D of Canada's Great Divide Trail. In 1970, the federal government endorsed the Great Divide Trail concept and provisional route recommended by Jim Thorsell. His vision of a route through the Canadian mountain parks from the southern tip of Banff National Park to Mount Robson and Jasper National Park included the Glacier section, also known as Section D, stretching from the Trans-Canada Highway just east of Field, British Columbia, north to Saskatchewan River crossing, a distance of 63 miles. There's at least 5 different ways to access Section D. The first option is to hike north from the Trans-Canada Highway on the old Amiskwi Fire Road, which has been devastated by downed timber in recent years, so it's not a route that I'd recommend. Option 2 is to begin at Emerald Lake Lodge, hike up to Yoho Lake, and then continue along the Iceline Trail, and then down to the Little Yoho campsite. This is a route some of us hiked in 2014. Option 3 is to hike in from the Trans-Canada Highway east of the town of Field and up to Howse Pass, a 3,000-foot climb up through forest and then along the Iceline Trail to Little Yoho campsite. Option 4 is to hike in from Takakkaw Falls into the Yoho Valley along the Yoho River and then west up along the Little Yoho River to the Little Yoho campsite. The fifth option, the route we've chosen, is to hike in from the Yoho Valley Road and up to the Iceline Trail before descending to Little Yoho campsite. From the campsite, the route heads west up over Kiwetinok Pass, down to the Kiwetinok River, up over Kiwetinok Gap, down to the Amiskwi Fire Road, and then north along the Amiskwi River. This is known as the Kiwetinok Alternate. So we're at the trailhead, about to head up to the Iceline Trail. The first hour or so is pretty steep, and then after that it gradually gets easier, and hopefully the cloud will lift. It's kind of foggy, cloudy right now, so we'll see what happens. So we're chugging up the trail. We've gone about 2 kilometers, just taking a 2 or 3 minute break here to catch our breath. See what the oximeter says. So here is the first good view of Takakkaw Falls. Well, the boys have bagged another one. So what are we at for elevation, John?
2244 it says.
Great view from here. This is the little peak that the young studs just bagged, so us old farts are on it now. So we're going to continue north. We got 3 or 4 kilometers left, so about 2 miles, and camp will be over the ridge and down in the trees. That's the little peak that we were just on a few minutes ago. This is where we've come down, and this is the Iceline Trail, so lots of rock. The ridge up ahead, that's lateral moraine, and that's coming down from the glacier from the Secretary Treasurer. Further back is moraines from the Vice President. These are mountains that were named for executive of the Canadian Pacific Railway back in the late 1800s. So we've come down to the Little Yoho River. We're going to cross this in a minute on a nice bridge. And then we're going to continue on the north side. And we'll have about 300 meters to the campsite. This is the Stanley Mitchell cabin. This is an Alpine Club of Canada hut. And we stayed here in the mid 80s, but that's another story for another time. Well, we just finished dinner at Little Yoho campsite. Tomorrow we're going to go up over Kiwetinok Pass, down to the Kiwetinok River, then up to Kiwetinok Gap, and then down to the Amiskwi River. Should be an interesting day tomorrow. The sky is cleared, finally. We had a bit of light rain at supper time. Hopefully we'll have a dry night tonight and a good start to tomorrow morning. Good morning, it's day 2. We're still at Little Yoho campground, just about to head out. It just rained a little bit when we were breaking down camp, so that was unfortunate. The tents are soaking wet. Hopefully we can dry them out later. We've got about an hour and a half, maybe 2-hour climb up to Kiwetinok Pass, and then we'll take a break. This is step 1. We're crossing the Little Yoho River, and since it rained a few minutes ago, this log is a bit slippery. This log will save us 600 or 700 meters of walking, because we'd have to go back to the bridge and then come back again to the trail, which is right there. We're continuing the climb up to Kiwetinok Pass. I think we're just several hundred meters from the lake and the pass, and then we'll take a nice short break. This is Kiwetinok Lake, so we're just going to skirt the lake, go around the left side, and then a couple hundred meters more we'll be at the pass. And we are now standing on Kiwetinok Pass, and this is the view we have down. This is looking down at the headwaters of the Kiwetinok River down below us.
People have done it to go like along there.
And then what we have to do is we have to get down to the headwaters, and then we're going to go pretty much straight up through the trees, and then angle above tree line, angle over to the right, and the gap, the Kiwetinok Gap. This is where we've come down from Kiwetinok Pass, and this is what we have to navigate down for the remainder, down to the river. So we're getting there. Very unstable rock, so you got to be careful. You don't want to break an ankle or sprain an ankle. We're getting there. We're going to have lunch at the river. Here we are having fun coming down the boulders. Just another day at the office. This is looking back at Kiwetinok Pass, and we're just taking a lunch break here. We still have 700 meters to go down, and then we go up to the gap, Kiwetinok Gap. Lunch is done, so we're continuing down here, and in a few minutes we will be done with these boulders. We're at the headwaters now of the Kiwetinok River, so we just have to cross over it, and then begins the climb. There is the orange flagging that we're looking for. And that is the start of the climb up to the gap. So we're just going to stop here for a minute for a water break. Huffing and puffing. The stretch up through the trees is steep. Fortunately, it's short-lived. I think it's only 500 or 600 meters in length. And then we break out above tree line. So we've just busted out of the forest. We're just taking a short break and then we're going to continue up. This is some old grizzly bear diggings. So this is just an old avalanche slope and it's good habitat for grizzly bears to find marmots and pikas. We are still climbing and we're huffing and puffing. Let's look back at Kiwetinok Pass that we came over this morning. And then this is the Kiwetinok River Valley. And now we're climbing up a dry creek bed. This comes down from the gap. So we're getting that much closer. Pretty steep right here as well. We have reached the gap. This is the Kiwetinok Gap. Below us is the Amiskwi Valley. Down in the fog and the clouds. And we are gonna stop for a little rest here and then continue down. Absolutely amazing. Here's the cairn at the top of the pass, complete with a beverage. Coming down. So now we're aiming for the left side of this forested mound, and then we'll continue down to tree line. So we've reached the Amiskwi Fire Road in the Amiskwi Valley. This is where we came from. And this is north to where we're heading. We have another hour or so to go, and then we'll make camp. This is the Amiskwi River, so now we have to cross it, and then we'll camp somewhere over on the other side. Well, good morning. It's day 3. We're in the Amiskwi River Valley. She was a cool night last night. It poured on us at supper time. We got into camp late, probably about 7 o'clock or so, so we only had about an hour of daylight, and it started pouring on us. So we quickly had dinner, got the packs or the food bags up in the trees, and went to bed. And it rained. It sounded like it rained for maybe a couple of hours, then it quit. Cleared up through the night, and it is frosty this morning. The zippers were frozen on the tents, so it was tough to get out of the tent. So we're following the Amiskwi River upstream to its source at Amiskwi Pass. Beautiful morning after a rainy night, and the sun feels pretty good. It was -5 this morning when we got up. It's +5 now, or I don't know, 40 degrees Fahrenheit. That's Amiskwi Falls up above us, and we're going to cross the river shortly to the east side. That ain't horse poop. A quick stop for some huckleberries. Still climbing up to Amiskwi Pass.
Okay.
These are a couple of through hikers that they're hiking the Great Divide Trail, and they started up in Jasper and they're heading to Waterton. This is the boundary of Yoho National Park. We're just leaving now after bumping into those through hikers. We've broken out of the trees and come onto this logging road. That's the parking area for the Amiskwi Lodge staff and guests. We just had lunch and the place looked kind of like a yard sale. We took out all our wet gear from last night and spread it out on the rocks and on the bushes. And now we continue. We're about 1.5 kilometers now from the Collie Creek Alternate, still heading down the logging road. There's a nice view around every corner. There's the Blaeberry River down below, and that's our ultimate target later on this afternoon. And we'll hike along that and then head north through Howse Pass tomorrow. Yet another hairpin turn. It's always amazing to walk a logging road. We've arrived at the start of the Collie Creek Alternate. This is the trail that heads down to cross Collie Creek, and then we'll continue further along the Blaeberry River towards Cairnes Creek wreck site. This is steep. This is probably, I think, 25% grade going down, so it's just non-stop. Watch your step and hope you don't fall down or break something. This is a small example of the work done by the volunteers, the Great Divide Trail Association, and in particular one Dan Durston. So thank you to Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
And thanks to all the volunteers that have worked on this trail. This is Collie Creek, and this is mighty impressive. It'd be pretty neat to see this in full flood in the spring. So we're working our way down Collie Creek, and we're aiming for a bridge that has been newly installed. So that is the bridge over Collie Creek, and from what I understand, I think it was installed a month or two ago, so thank you to whoever did that. We're taking a short little water break here. A word of advice, you're going to go up from the creek, way above these trees and then down again. You're going to come down out of the trees to there. We went the wrong way and went to our left. After coming down from the trees, you want to hang a right to this spot. That is the logging road bridge over the Blaeberry River, and we'll be over it in a few minutes and camping on the other side. And this is the start of the Collie Creek Trail, the alternate for southbound hikers. That's the Cairnes Creek wreck site. It's an old decommissioned campground, and we are going to put it to use tonight. Well, that was an interesting day. Left camp this morning about 10 o'clock. Things were frosty. It was cool through the night. Hiked up to Amiskwi Pass, and then down the logging road to the Collie Creek Alternate, and then down the Collie Creek Alternate, which was not that long, about just over 1 kilometer, steep, until we hit a really nice trail along the Blaeberry, and we've decided to camp tonight at Cairnes Creek wreck site. We were hoping to get to Lamb Creek campsite, which is 7 more kilometers, but the days are just too short. It's going to be dark about 8 o'clock, mid-September, so we'll stay here tonight. I want to thank the volunteers who are doing what they've done for trail work on this section, especially Dan Durston. I think he's taken it under his wings, and I think it's almost his baby, and he's put a lot of effort into this. All 5 of us really appreciate it. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you in the morning. Good morning, it's day 4 and we're at Cairnes Creek wreck site. Just about to have some breakfast. Clear and cold, but we're not complaining. We're going to stop at Lamb Creek campsite for a break. That's about 7 kilometers, and then onward to Howse Pass.
Away we go.
This is a new bridge that was installed, I think, in the past year, crossing Cairnes Creek, and things are a little frosty this morning on the bridge. There's a wolf print. We're just past the avalanches and all the debris that we had to climb over and under. Thanks to the volunteers for working on that, especially that first section. Second section, I don't think they had time to finish. Check out this rock slide. This is the remnants of the old bridge over Lamb Creek, which we should be coming to fairly shortly. This is Lamb Creek, and this is the bridge over Lamb Creek. Lamb Creek is an outflow from the Lamb Glacier, which is up above us. Not sure which version of the bridge this one is, but thank you to whoever put it in. And about 50 meters past the creek is this nice little campsite, and this is what we were aiming for yesterday, but we just ran out of time with the shorter days. Didn't get to Cairnes Creek wreck site till probably just before 6, so we decided to call it a night there and camp there. Okay, let's go check it out. Not 5 stars, but it'll do. Well, we're getting closer to Howse Pass. A little over 2 kilometers to go. We're just coming into Howse Pass right now. This is a pretty historic place. This is the boundary of Banff National Park. We're just stepping into it. This is also the boundary of British Columbia and Alberta. We're in British Columbia, and now we're in Alberta. The route that we've taken today from Cairnes Creek wreck site up to Howse Pass, and the route that we'll take tomorrow out to the Icefields Parkway, this was a route that was seriously considered by the Canadian Pacific Railway back in the 1880s for their east-west route. Instead, they chose Kicking Horse Pass and Big Hill. This is Conway Creek that we've reached. We're just taking water. We're going to continue about another kilometer down alongside it to the Howse River. We're still walking along Conway Creek. We're about 750 meters from the Howse River. We've arrived at the Howse River floodplain. This is the birthplace of the Howse River. And now we get to walk along it for, I don't know, 20 some kilometers. Not sure we got on the wrong side of the river or not, but we have to cross it to get to an old horse outfitters camp, so we're going to aim for that for tonight. We thought we might camp here tonight, but the weather forecast is really wet for tomorrow, and there's another spot I think about 500 meters to the north, so we're going to continue there and check that out.
Trying to figure out where our camp is going to be. Probably somewhere over there. Here we have our camp for the final night, and holy moly, is it a phenomenal view. That's where we're going tomorrow. I mean, wow.
This is camp tonight, end of a pretty nice day. Great weather all day, blue sky. Clouding up a bit. Hopefully the rain will hold off a bit tomorrow. So we're going to call it a night pretty soon. It's getting cool. And we will talk to you in the morning. Good morning, it's day 5, and this is what 7 a.m. looks like on the Howse River floodplain. So down there was camp last night. Now we're going up above a cliff for about 500 meters and then we'll return to the floodplain. Still a good morning for walking. Rain hasn't started yet. Hopefully it'll hold off for a while. We're aiming for that trail going up that cliff. And then we'll be in the trees for a while and then back on the floodplain.
John, you're better off facing the branches and going backwards. And grab onto those branches.
The rain is coming, so the rain jackets are coming on.
The hike of the never-ending logs. So many trees to go under and over and over and under.
The sun is trying to come out. We're about 6 kilometers, 3.5 miles or so from the trailhead. Now we're arriving at Mistaya Canyon. We're going to cross this bridge and then go up to the parking lot. Well, we're almost at the end of another hike. Huffing and puffing up to the trailhead parking lot from the canyon. Thought it was time for a joke. So a country, I won't say which country, doesn't matter. They were developing a new high-speed train and they wanted to test the strength of the windshields in the cockpit of the train. They just couldn't figure out how to do it. So somebody suggested that they talk to the Japanese. Of course, the Japanese had their high-speed bullet trains, so they emailed the Japanese and they explained what they wanted to do, asked for advice, and the Japanese replied and explained in detail, but simply put, they had to get a mini catapult, install it in front of the cockpit, and then launch a chicken into the windshield. And if that withstood the impact, then everything was good. So they looked at the email, thought, okay, we can do this. So they built a mini catapult and they launched a chicken into the windshield, and they stood there and looked and went, wow. And what happened was the chicken went through the windshield, took the head off a dummy that was seated in the engineer's seat, and took the headrest off the chair and embedded itself in the wall of the cab, and they all went, wow, what did we do wrong? So they emailed the Japanese back, explained what they had done, asked for any suggestions or any answers as to what went wrong. The Japanese replied shortly after and said, next time don't use a frozen chicken. Well, it was another adventure. What a great 5 days out on the trail. It was different starting at Takakkaw Falls, but it was nice and great views of the falls from the Iceline Trail. And of course, the Iceline Trail itself is spectacular. The second day was a challenge. We knew it would be. Up and over Kiwetinok Pass, down to the Kiwetinok River, and then up to Kiwetinok Gap. The views from the gap were amazing. Totally worth the effort. And then down to the Amiskwi River. She was a cool night and a wet night. At least it started wet, and it was early to bed that night, but the next day was sunny and clear. A beautiful walk along the Amiskwi River in the morning, up and over Amiskwi Pass, and then down the Collie Creek Alternate, and then along the Blaeberry River. We had a great camp at the Cairnes Creek wreck site, and I really enjoyed that evening. Beautiful evening, starry night, watched the space station overhead, had a nice little campfire going. Just a really nice night in camp there. And then north over Howse Pass, and then down to the Howse River and the floodplain, and an interesting walk along the floodplain. And it wasn't that bad. We stuck to the river as often as we could, so I think that helped. We got a little bit of rain on us for 3-4 hours there, but it cleared off at the end, and it was just the end of a nice hike. I want to thank my son Logan for hiking with me this week. Logan and I haven't hiked together in several years due to family commitments, work commitments, so it was great hiking with him. Also, I want to thank John and his son Kevin. Really enjoyed hiking with you guys, and Barry as well. And I want to thank you for hiking along with us. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos.
This one's from the last night in Penticton when I started at Janine's house.
Well, good morning. It's day 3. We're in the Amiskwi